central India, a mountainous area extends 500 kilometers across the province of Madhya Pradesh. The mountains and the accompanying forest belt still contain approximately half of the forests and habitats of the country's wildlife. These are the jungles that inspired Kipling in his book on the Virgin Lands, and even today, they are still the best preserved in the whole of India. Located in these forested lands are the Bandhavgarh, Shivpuri and Kanha national parks, probably the best places in the world for watching tigers. Kanha National Park is considered the Ngorongoro of India. The physical similarity is relative because, although it is not a crater, the surrounding hills are the result of ancient volcanic activity. What really gives substance to the comparison, in fact, is the variety of animal species that live within it. Because in Kanha, one can still enjoy what the marvelous natural heritage of India must have been only a century or so ago. Kanha encloses a great variety of habitats. There are different types of forest that range from dense bamboo thickets to mixed deciduous forest and extensive grasslands, growing lush grasses that form the staple diet of the majority of the park's herbivores. The different species of ungulates living in Kanha are the staple diet of the carnivores, among which are the tigers, which is why they are indispensable to the reserve's ecological balance. One of the park's main zoological jewels are the Bhoorsingh, or marsh deer. Their food source are the grasses that grow in the pastures of the nalas, or muddy plains. The tall and compact grasses grow on the muddy plains even in summer, given the high humidity level, and they provide a hideout for the herbivores and their young. None of the names attributed to this deer is appropriate. In the local language, Bhoorsingh means 12 points and refers to the deer's horns. But adult males generally have between 10 and 14 branches, some having as many as 20. The name of marsh deer is not correct either and should be used for a more common subspecies, because in Kanha, the only place in which they survive, there are no real marshes, and this subspecies, although living its daily life on the muddy plains, has hoofs that are adapted for running on hard ground. At the end of the 19th century, the Bhoorsingh abounded throughout central India. 50 years later, in the middle of this century, only 3,000 were left, and in 1970, only 66 Bhoorsingh survived here, being the only representatives of their subspecies remaining in the world. The emergency measures taken to protect the last Bhoorsingh succeeded in raising the population to 550 by 1988, and since this date, their number has been increasing slowly. The key to the recovery and survival of these deer is based on the preservation of their habitat, tall grasses. In order to do this, grazing had to be prohibited in specific areas, and certain villages had to be relocated outside the park boundaries. If more tall grasslands were obtained, there would be more food for the Bhoorsingh, but in particular, breeding of the species would be encouraged, since these deer do not reproduce without a sea of grasses where they can hide their young from predators. The increase in grasslands has favored other species. Chital deer and wild boar hide here and feed on the muddy plains in the same way as the Bhoorsingh. Their numbers have also increased, and today ecosystem preservation measures tend to protect the grasses from excess numbers of herbivores, which is why certain areas have been enclosed. Chital deer are the most numerous large mammals in Kanha. They are extremely prolific, and the adult females give birth to a young animal every 6 months. Their demographic increase could imply a problem for the park, but it is curbed by the carnivores. Approximately 40% of tigers' food is made up of chital deer, and they are also an important element in the diet of leopards, wild dogs and jackals.
यहाँ भी हो रहा है, वहाँ बीच में भी ऐसा लग रहा है।
इधर कॉल हुआ ना अभी?
अच्छा
नहीं, अभी जस्ट एक गाड़ी खड़ी थी ना, आवाज समझ में नहीं आई, कॉल से लगा मेरे को।
आपको देख रहा था, इशारा कर रहा था, आप देखे नहीं।
There is good reason for the animals' mistrust, because in the depths of these jungles lives the most powerful predator of all, Sher, the tiger lord of the jungle. Of the 8 subspecies of tiger existing only a century ago, only 5 remain, and one of these, the Chinese tiger, is on the verge of extinction. The Bengal tiger is the most numerous subspecies. In India, where its population is highest, there are between 5,000 and 7,000, scarcely a reflection of the 100,000 and more which lived at the end of the last century. And of all the places on the Indian subcontinent, it is here, in Kanha, where the tigers have the largest and most stable population. In Kanha, it is estimated that the population totals approximately 100. But in a country with over 1,000 million inhabitants eager for fertile land, the future of the tiger continues to be a major concern for conservationists all over the world.